अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मुझे कहते हैं मुजम्मिल आसिफ और आज मैं आपके सामने पेश हुआ हूँ ARY स्पोर्ट्स गपशप के फर्स्ट एपिसोड में। चूंकि ये फर्स्ट एपिसोड था तो हमने सोचा क्यों ना इस फर्स्ट एपिसोड का जो गेस्ट है वो भी बहुत स्पेशल होना चाहिए। तो आज जो गेस्ट हमारे साथ मौजूद है उनका ताल्लुक तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया से है, लेकिन उनका पाकिस्तान से जो रिलेशन है वो बहुत यूनिक और इंटरेस्टिंग है। और पाकिस्तान की जो वाहिद लीग है क्रिकेट लीग, उसमें इनका बड़ा किरदार रहा है। 2016 से ये पाकिस्तान सुपर लीग के साथ मौजूद है। तो पहले इनका इंट्रोडक्शन करवाते हैं। मैं इंट्रोडक्शन इंग्लिश में दूंगा क्योंकि जाहिर सी बात है हमारे गेस्ट है तो वी हैव टू ऑनर है। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट कि he's from Australia, a former Australian cricketer. He represented Australia from 1984 to 1994, and he's known for his aggressive style of batting. And he's the part of that Australian team, Australian rebuilding phase where the Australian team rebuilt, and he was one of the prominent members of Australian team. So let's welcome Dean Jones. Dino, first of all, thank you so much for giving us your precious time. How are you doing?
In lockdown, Australia has pretty well got this coronavirus on the downslide now. There's only 4 or 5 cases, I think, in Australia. Was notified yesterday. I think we're having 100,000 tests just in Victoria. That's a state of Australia, just in Victoria, 100,000 the next 2 weeks. So, but we're being pretty strict. You got to stay home, got to wash your hands. You can't go out and see your family. Sadly, I haven't seen my kids or my in-laws or anyone really. And you're only allowed to go out once to exercise. And I do normally a 10K walk. So that's about it. That's all we can do.
Obviously, as you said that Australia is locked down. In fact, the whole world is locked down and suffering through a very tough phase. So any special activities you are doing during this lockdown?
Well, not a hell of a lot. Actually, I've been thinking a lot about the PSL and Karachi Kings. It's come into my thoughts a lot because they've left business unfinished. We were second, getting ready for the playoffs, and we had momentum going our way. We're playing very well. We had guys in good form, and unfortunately, it just fell apart in the end. Obviously, because everyone had to go home. But I've just been thinking of. I think cricket probably needs a correction now. I really do feel that Cricket Australia is struggling at the moment. They're worried about the World Cup coming up in November, which I think is a 50-50 bet. And then, of course, the Australians are hoping to get the Indians to come out. But the problem here is this. We will struggle to have 15 or 16 countries coming to this island, which we are, this country, and then have like 35 people per country and to look after logistics and all the operational stuff with that. Because Cricket Australia right now is, its admin staff has been completely reduced. So who's going to do all the work to get it ready? So, but at that stage, like in Pakistan, we are starting to look at AFL football to be played in June. Now, this is big.
In Australia?
In Australia. Now, AFL football is our #1 sport by miles. By miles. Okay. So we will be having what we call these hubs or pods, if you want to call it. So a team stays in a particular hotel or teams. The buses, they go to the ground and back to the hub. That's all they can do in complete isolation. No one's allowed to go near the players, the staff, nothing. They're in their own bubble. And I think they're looking to do that in end of June. Now, baseball is happening as well. That's happening in Miami and happening in Arizona. And the basketball will be doing this in America, in Vegas. So PSL, PCB, and no doubt Indian cricket boards will be watching these particular pods and sports and how to actually operate it, logistics of it, will it work, feedback because there's no fans. No fans will be going to watch the games. It's all be watched on TV. And as you know, playing sport in front of an empty house is quite difficult. So, but we need to have sport. It's part of Pakistan's DNA. The fans need it. We need it in Australia, of course. Everyone needs it. We miss sport unbelievably bad. So in Australia, things are on the downslide. We've got it under control, but we're just very mindful that we don't do anything silly and there's a second wave coming through what's happened in Japan.
Exactly, very well said that we need to resume sports as soon as possible because fans are waiting. A question related to this, being a sports personality, you are coach, you have played cricket. How difficult it for a sports person to remain inside for a long period of time when there is no competitive sports around?
How difficult. Look, I've been basically in lockdown with PSL because we weren't allowed to go outside of hotels either. And then we've been in lockdown here. So in Australia, I had to come straight from Pakistan in lockdown completely, not allowed to go out at all, not speak to anyone for 14, 15 days. And now when the new lockdown started, so I'm only allowed out once a day to get food and then to go for a walk. That's it. We're still in that phase right now. And that's the reason why I feel Australia has been successful is because, you know, we've been quite stringent. And more importantly, I can't believe the Australians have actually followed suit and been disciplined for this and actually done the right thing because a lot of people don't do the right thing. We seen it in the UK and Spain and whatnot, and of course America. They're going outside and they're doing the same stuff like normal, and the virus just spreads. So that's where we're at. But we've got it, I think, contained at the moment, and it's on the down low for here in Australia.
Exactly, we all need to follow all the SOPs provided by the government. I just want to ask that when everyone is at home, like sports persons, including cricketers, tennis players, everyone is at home. There is a sort of activity on social media. Have you watched it? Like challenges, push-up challenges. Have you tried to just look at them and just try to pass on some different challenge to Karachi Kings players or some other players of Australia or somewhere else?
No, I leave all that young stuff to do for the players. They can do all. I've been there, done that. I did that for 25 years.
Good golf player, I think.
I can't play golf. I'm not allowed to play golf. I'm not allowed to do anything. But in saying that, I think as a coach, I've got a chance to read up a lot on how other sports are going about doing their thing, about draft, about picking certain players in drafts. It's quite an interesting thing. See, as a cricketer coach or an analyst, I don't get the opportunity to go to the States or go to Europe and look how different clubs draft players, identify talent, how they deal with problem players, how they deal with superstars, and how they actually make sure the operations of the team goes. Because each team is a different animal. It's got its own personality, and each player within has got a different personality. So I'm very much trying to read up and do the research of that to try to improve my education and understanding, hopefully, what will we build better Karachi teams for the future.
This is what exactly people look in a coach, and you have all those ingredients. That's why you are a competitive coach. Moving on to PSL, the latest event you have been into. How was the experience playing in Pakistan for the first time? The entire league conducted there. How was the experience, atmosphere, and people here in the country?
In a way, it was brilliant, but I expected that. I expected the fans to come out in droves, and they did. I expected that.
Exactly.
I expected Multan was unbelievable. Karachi is outstanding. Lahore was brilliant. Islamabad was full houses. Everywhere we went, we had full houses. I expected that. But what really got to me is looking at players like Babar Azam and Imad Wasim and Wasim, Akram. You can see in their eyes going, we haven't seen this for years upon years upon years. Wasim has, because he played at home. He understands what it's like playing at home. But guys like Imad and Baba and so forth, like it was fantastic for them. And of course, Mohammed Amir they didn't have this chance to show their skills and showcase their skills and their sport and their and how good they are in front of these people before. Normally it's done in UAE or overseas. So now they got the opportunity. I thought the fans needed a playoffs. We needed to find out who was going to be the champions. But I'm hearing, here's a rumour, I'm hearing that the PSL's looking to play in November.
Yeah, after World Cup.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. Because I don't think the World Cup's going to happen. And if that's the case, IPL will take that spot. And that will hurt the PSL chances there.
Maybe the PCB finds somewhere in December or in mid-December. Maybe let's hope for the best. I just want to recall that moment because we all know that PSL just suddenly called off due to this ongoing COVID-19. That night, I just want you to recall when you guys got a message from Alex Hales, who just departed from Pakistan for England. He texted that he was suffering through COVID-19 symptoms, and we hear that you were the one who said that all the players need to get tested as soon as possible. Otherwise, no player will be out on the field tomorrow. What was that thing that night? Can you just recall it for us?
Well, it was very late at night. I don't sleep that well before games. We're getting ready for our first qualifier. And of course, the news was I was just going through, watching a bit of vision of the opposition as I do, and look at some analytics of our players, etc. I do that. I never liked it before a match. I hardly slept anyway. So I was tossing and turning, and I looked on our team accounts, which we've got a WhatsApp account. And Salman, our wonderful owner, sent a lovely message to all the boys, thinking of you. Big game, I know, but all this just wonderful stuff you'd hope to get for a franchise owner and more. And he was great. It was lovely stuff. And then straight away, Alex Hales, who's gone home, he's in England now, has been for 4 days or so, and said, "Oh, nice message, boss. But I have to tell you straight away, I'm not feeling well, and I've got the symptoms. Now, I don't know if I've got it or what." And I've gone, "No." And I've looked at this, and I quickly rang Salman. We needed to have a meeting straight away. And so from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, we were trying to work out if he did have the virus. We're trying to contact him. He said, "Look, I feel sick." But the problem for Alex, in England, if you did feel sick, they tell you to stay home. Don't worry about being tested. In Australia, you get tested. Everywhere else in the world, you get tested. This is the reason why UK is probably in such a bad position that it is now. So so it got to 4 o'clock in the morning, and we realised then that we can't play. And then we spoke to Imran Khan, the tournament director in the PCB, and it was pretty well called off by 10 o'clock. And then everybody was getting tested straight away, the players, because we were worried about we had the same thing. Because we had players' wives were there, or some of them were pregnant, and all this type of stuff. It wasn't a proper environment, and everybody was starting to panic a bit. So the best thing was to get us out. And I've got to tell PCB, they did a great job to get us on planes. Pretty snappy, and they did a great job, it has to be said, and everyone got home. So it just all of a sudden, there I am, looking, here I'm on my computer, I'm looking on analytics, and I'm looking at vision, and within 12 hours later, I'm going home. It was bizarre. It was like a bizarre 12 hours. But anyway, sanity prevailed. Yeah. Sanity prevailed, so we're okay.
Yeah, it was surprising for everyone here in Pakistan, in fact, all around the world, the fans of PSL. Let's come on to Karachi Kings. Everyone was talking about you when you just joined the probably the most followed franchise of the Pakistan Super League. We saw different energy this time in Karachi Kings players. Everyone talked about you, that you just brought in some excitement, some new thing. Tell us about that thing. Do you have some winning formula, or you just keep on involving the players as much as you can in the game?
Well, we've got some very experienced players, like guys like Bubba, of course, Ahmad, Mohammed Amir and co. Heaps of experienced players. Now, I've already played with some of those boys, or coached, because we had Walton and at Islamabad and, of course, Delport and co. So a lot of these guys have experienced my coaching before, but I actually wanted to come in to Karachi and try to educate them, game awareness, be understanding the little things cost games, not necessarily your wonderful performance. And everyone each other in the squad, if they don't do their job, we're not going to get anywhere where we want to go. So I had to interview most of the guys and speak to them. What's their role? How do they perform it? This is the way the games are going to play. These are the things you need to be aware of. And it all started even before that, as when I sat down with Salman and Wazim and Tariq at Karachi to say, I asked the question, where do you think the Karachi Kings have gone wrong over the last 4 years? And they had their wonderful reasons why. And I gave it to them point blank that they were some of the reasons, but not the major ones. And I'm not going to go through it because it's in-house and in confidence, but we needed to change a lot of things. And I had to sell that game plan to them. And that's what you've got to do as a coach. I believe the game's got to play a certain way, but I have to sell that game plan to the players and make them believe it and the little things that go in with it. So before the first match was played, I was giving them game awareness stuff. They must have seen 25, 30 different videos of stuff that was going on in past games, not just PSL, around the world and T20, that we need to learn from. And the very first thing was learnt was they laughed at me about, I'll give you one little thing. I want our batsmen at the non-strikers end to back up very close to the spinner when the spinner's on, close to the stumps. So when he bowls the ball, when the bowler bowls the ball, that the batsman's close, that he has to run into him if he hits the ball down the ground. I don't want him to be wide, so it'll allow the fieldsman or the bowler to field off his own bowling.
Okay.
So I looked at all the guys, I said, do you understand this? You need to get in as close as you can within reason. Yeah, okay. And they all looked at me quite funny. The very first ball of the tournament, Islamabad was batting, Munro was facing, Luke Ronke was at the non-strikers end, spinner bowled the ball, I don't know who it was, but Munro hit it straight back. And then, of course, what happened is that the ball went straight towards Ronke, and Ronke moved away to allow the bowler to catch the ball. Like, hello, exactly what I've been talking about. And then I got 1,000 text messages on the phone, and everyone's gone, Coach, you've got a thing here. So it was sort of, then they started to open their eyes up to the way I see the game. Now, that's my way of thinking. I don't try to...
This is exactly why you are so demanding all around the world as far as coaching is concerned. A fan question is from you is, in this year's PSL, tell your batsman pick, bowler's pick.
I'm not going to go into that. I think a lot of guys did very, very well. I think, how many guys did we have? We had Delport, 178 runs. Shazil made 200 runs. You got I thought Walton played very well.
Like bowlers who were constantly bowling over 150, 145. Bowlers, young bowlers, local talent, and batsmen too.
Well, the bottom line is I don't care whether they bowl 150 Ks or not, because these guys of today hit the ball 150 Ks over your head. So that doesn't worry me. But as I keep saying to the players, ultimately, our offense is our batting, obviously, and our defense is our bowling. Now, if we can't or understand or can't bowl a Yorker, a wide Yorker, or a leg stump Yorker, or a change-up slow ball, then you are going to get sorted out. If you don't understand the hitting patterns of certain batsmen, now we've got patterns of, we know exactly guys who enjoy hitting fast balls compared to change-up balls. We know guys that actually are better on length and they're better on the 6 stump line Yorkers. So I tried to educate them as much as I can. And you probably learn more about themselves when we lose And then he said, well, the reason why we lost is because we didn't bowl here, we didn't bowl there exactly what, but we didn't execute. So, but then we started to pick a team to come through. I think the key to it was, I think I read recently, 83% of all PSL matches now in the history of the game, the teams win the toss and bowl. I think that's stupid. And I'll say why. And yes, there is this mental thing, but it doesn't happen that much in India. I know we don't have the due factor is a problem, but we needed to pick a team. If we lost the toss and we had to bowl second, then therefore we had to have a team that can cope bowling with the wet ball. Or conversely, if the ball wasn't dewy, then we can still bowl our spinners. So we needed to have 6 or 7 bowlers to get that right. We didn't get that right early, but we did at the last half. 2/3 on, we got it right. And it was probably the game against Multan that I realised where they actually outplanned us, they outplayed us, they smashed us at Multan, that I said, our bowling is wrong and we need to fix that thing up. So here's the call. When things are going bad for you as a team, you've got to fix one thing up first. You can only fix one thing up first. And I wasn't worried about our batting. It was always going to be the bowling, because bowling teams win your tournaments. And that's what we needed to fix up. And our bowlers started to bowl a lot better when we have a bit more balance with it.
Very good observation, Dino. So I just want to repeat, no particular individual local player you want to highlight here, just to give him confidence, like.
Well, I could say a lot of guys, but they're my kids. Yeah. They're my kids. I can't say my eldest kid's a better kid than my second kid. You can't say that. You're just looking at, you're going to get in trouble.
Every single individual,
you know what?
Good at his own.
Yeah. We picked this team. We picked this team because we believe that they can play. We picked this team because we like the way they play. We picked this team is that they fit into my and Wasm and Solomon and Tariq's judgment, and Imad's judgment and Bubba's judgment of the way that we should play it. So these guys have already got a tick from us because we selected them. So in knowing that, they're all, you know, we're not going to have guys who did really, you know, we had some guys that did really well and continue to do well, but I'm not going to pinpoint them. We need to have 7 winners out of 11 who's going to win you matches. You need 7. Now, that one guy might be Chadwick Walton, who might only have 10 balls or 8 balls to face, and he scores 24. That is just as important as Bubba Azam's 79 off 60. So that's just as important to finish the game off properly. So these guys, everyone's got their role, and most of the guys, have to say, executed it pretty well, and that's the reason why we finished second at the top, and probably was the form team at the end.
Okay, as you just highlighted Chadwick Walton here, so I would like to ask a question from you regarding Mohammad Rizwan. I think Chadwick Walton replaced him, and during the event we heard a lot of things about Rizwan, that he can't hit big shots. That's why you are going with Chadwick Walton. Was it the reason behind just benching Rizwan throughout the whole tournament?
Number one, Rizwan was outstanding. I had a really open mind with him. I heard some bad mail about him, to be honest, before I even got there. But I tell you what, he is just a wonderful individual. I was so impressed with him. So we had to sit him down and say, how can we change your game? Like, we don't have to worry about his keeping. He's outstanding. We all know what a fabulous keeper he is. Okay. But he was actually coming to us to say, how can I get better as a power hitter? So we were showing biomechanics of baseballers and golfers, etc., and tennis players, how they hit a ball, how they hit it big. And we were showing vision of him, of actually trying to where he needs to get better and not just be good at one part of the ground, he needs to be good on the other side, etc. Yeah. So in saying that, he's put a lot of work into it. He needs to get more muscle. He understands that. He needs to keep working on his impact areas where he needs to hit. And we rode him pretty hard. People didn't see the fact that he wasn't playing. I tell you what, he couldn't do enough for the team. He was running around throwing balls to guys. He was fielding as much as he could for us. He was just absolutely brilliant. I was brilliant. And hopefully we'll get picked for Pakistan for T20 if he does. But I'll tell you what he will do. You'll see a new power hitter because I think he's actually enjoyed the challenge of learning to hit again and to know hit big and actually use the feet a little bit more and understand how to get quicker hand speed and bat speed through the ball. I think he learned a lot throughout the particular. He would have liked to have played a lot more. I get that, but unfortunately, the balance of the way the teams are at the moment, it's so difficult because most of the overseas guys now are pinching your top 4 spots in the batting order, and I think that's hurting Pakistan more than actually helping.
Yeah, exactly the same thing your skipper Imad Wasim also said regarding Rizwan. Let's move on. During the PSL, a video got viral on social media in which you were seen picking up the garbage around the dugout area and throwing it into the dustbin. What was that? Did you saw how people reacted to that video particularly?
Number one, I can't believe how it went viral. I wasn't even noticeable. My mum said to me, cleanliness is next to godliness. Exactly. And if you can't keep your own home, your own work environment, your own area clean, for God forbid. And when we won the game, I looked around to hug someone, and I looked at, and there was just bottles of crap everywhere. And I was furious. It just took the gloss off what was a great win. We scored 200 against Quetta or whatever it was. And I just looked around and said, we need to. And I just started picking up bottles. And I'm not going to expect the guy, one of the young kids, the cleaners, the ball boys, to clean up our mess. We're the ones that created it. You clean up your own mess. And that's what I did. First thing I did when I went in the dressing room, well done. But that bloody mess outside there, I'm not going to have it. So I told them off, and they know now to make sure they clean their stuff up. They do it even at practice. It wasn't there at games, even at practice. I just hate a dirty environment. Nice and clean.
That's a very good thing, and it seemed like you are so much serious and strict regarding this. Last question from PSL. Your book is very famous, and your red book turned blue this time around. But we saw that you were so much with a big whiteboard rather than blue book. So
I had the blue book
got bigger this time around.
No, the blue book. More of it, and the fact. Are you there? 1, 2. I don't know why. Can you hear me? I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
2, 1, 2. Can you hear me now? 1, 2. You got me?
Yeah.
All right. You can edit this, can't you? So, okay. I know the question. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, the blue book was still there. I had the blue book and the whiteboard. The blue book, it's in code. And when I had the red book before, when I was with the Islamabad, guys were pinching it and trying to read into it and all that. And not much they can read into it because it's in code.
Yeah.
I put things down in the book and I put code. I've got my code in my head. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do the question again. Well, I've got the blue book and the white book. So the big thing about that is the fact that I've got a code that was used to be in my red books. And the biggest problem, of course, what happened was players were looking into the red book and trying to get stuff out of it and pinching it and doing all that stuff thing. But I still had my code. I still got my blue book. But the whiteboard's different. The whiteboard was for a reason. I wanted to, because
they have so much advertising on the scoreboards. The players don't know what the score is. How did we go on the death? How did we go in the mids? Who's bowled how many overs? What bowlers are left? I've got that all on the board. With magnets, everybody knows. The players can see that as they look at the game, they can look down. So, and then when we go to the strategic timeout, then I wanted to put down 2, 3, 1 points. Be careful. This is what we need to do right now. Keep your eyes on the captain. Whatever on the point I needed to get across, then Amar takes over and says what he has to say to the team, how to finish off. But I just feel that with so much advertising, when they go to a break on TV, all ads are on the scoreboards, and the players don't know what the scoreboard is and how many bowlers, how many overs, what's the name got left or whatever. So it's there in front of them, and that's how it's done. So I've got no problem with the whiteboard at all, and it's just a reminder for some of them. These are the players to target. This is where we need to. You'll see soon that we'll start to get iPads out.
Yeah.
I know it's an iPhone, but we'll get iPads out and we'll show the players basically, right, this is the vision on, this is the death balls, this is how he holds the ball before coming in, and shows the players when they're out, particularly for the batting, if we're batting at the time. So these guys come on last. Be careful. He holds his fingers wide for the change-up ball. He holds one finger for a slow ball. Whatever it is, then they have an actually understanding of getting the head ready before they actually face these guys for the last few overs of the innings.
Okay, Dino, PSL, we talked about PSL. Now just coming on to your cricket career. In 1984, you made your test debut against West Indies, and you came as a replacement of Graham Gallup and then Steve Barry Smith. So I have just read somewhere that you were ill at that time on your debut test match. So how was that feeling when you were making debut for your national team and then scoring 48 runs despite being ill?
Well, I've already played for Australia a couple of months earlier. My debut was against Pakistan in a one-day match at Adelaide Oval. So I had the understanding of what it takes to play Test cricket. But the fact was, I got to the match where the team was announced the night before. I wasn't in the team. I wasn't in. And I had a bad virus, not coronavirus, it was 1984. So I had a bad virus, and I was actually kicked out of my room because my roommate was Jeff Lawson, and he didn't want to be sick because he was playing in the test match. And I asked the manager to get another room. They wouldn't give me another room. So in the morning of that night, I actually slept in the corridor of the hotel.
Okay.
So before my first test. And then we got to the game. One of the other players was another Steve Smith, played for Australia. No relation. He got sick. And I got my first chance. And I was on a wet pitch too, and the ball left little divots, and they had Marshall, Garner, Roberts, Holding, all these guys playing. And I made 48. And I still think that's my greatest ever knock for a red ball. I've played a lot of good games, I reckon, in Test cricket, but 48 against those guys on a debut was pretty tough. And guess what? I slept in the hallway of the corridor of the hotel for the next 4 nights. They wouldn't give me a bed.
Okay.
I had no bed at all. I slept on the floor.
Okay.
Can you imagine that happening today?
No. It's not. No, it's not possible even. In 1986, only in your third test, you scored double 100. Same situation was there. You were suffering from dehydration due to hot and humid weather in Chennai, and you scored a double 100. This is something I read somewhere. Alan Border at that time, you wanted to go off the field, and Alan Border, the then captain of Australia, said that let's get another Australian batsman, and then you scored double 100. How was that feeling when your captain said such a thing and you then just went on to score a double 100?
Well, firstly, after the 1984 tour of the West Indies, they completely belt me up mentally, physically, technically. I felt so inept. I felt so embarrassed of my game that I needed to improve. And so I went and started facing balls in the nets at 150 kilometres an hour. And then I made big runs in first-class cricket, never got selected. I should have gone on the tour of England in 1985. They didn't select me. And I was just full of rage. And, of course, I had a very good summer again in Sheffield Shield cricket. And I got picked for this tour, India. And I was not going to let that chance slip. Now, a couple of things come out of that. Two things. I trained with an AFL football club to get myself fit. My body fat content was around about 8%, 7%. Unbelievably fit. Worst thing you should ever do before going to a country that's unbelievably hot. And you need to have a little bit of weight on to work off. It's a 3-month tour. The second thing was, there was a wonderful Australian captain called Lindsay Hassett, played with Bradman. And Bradman said he was the greatest player of spin he ever saw.
Yep.
And, of course, I'm going to India. I'm going to face spin. So I always played spin okay, but I never really had a plan. And I said to Lindsay over a meeting, so how do you play spin? He said, it's really easy. So when they toss up, you use your feet and hit it on the full or on the half volley. And if they don't toss up, you play it off the back foot. That's it. You don't go into a forward defensive. You never do that. Either get to them on the full or play them off the back foot. I said, right, that's the way I'm going to play. And that was the way I played. So we get to Chennai, it's 40-degree heat. And the first day, I think it was 70 not out. And that night, and you guys know hydration better than anyone because it's unbelievably hot in Pakistan as well. You drink the water overnight and you make sure you have water in the morning. I was too nervous. See, I was thinking of 30 different ways of making my first 100 in Test cricket. And I didn't drink. And I got to 100, about 120, and then my body started to melt down. I had no body fat, and I was seriously in a lot of trouble, cramping, vomiting everywhere. It was just horrific. And it got to 170 odd, and I can't remember this, but Alan Border said so, that I wanted to go off because I was stopping the game all the time. He said, it's not right. You know, every over there's someone coming out with a drink or a towel. So I was embarrassed with my current situation. Mentally, I wanted to go, but my body wouldn't allow me. I couldn't sweep. I couldn't use my feet. We were walking runs. We weren't even running runs at all. And we're slowing the game down. So I said to him, I'm going to go off. Now, I'm a proud Victorian, right? So, as a lot of you guys are with your own states and provinces, but I said, yeah. So he said, you're a weak Victorian, get off the ground and I'll get a Queenslander on who can handle the heat because it's hot. So I said, shut up. I said other words, evidently, and I stayed and I made 210 and the game turned out to be a tie.
Yeah.
But the big thing for me with that innings, it showed me two things. Mentally, that I prepared 2.5 years for this and I wanted it bad. And secondly, I had a game plan to play against their spin and that worked really well. And third, psychologically, that I knew I could play Test cricket after that. That was my Mount Everest. I had to climb this Mount Everest to say, yep, I'm good enough to be on the same ground as Kepler Dev and these guys and Alan Border. And that was and I found playing international cricket a lot easier after that, after knowing that I got respect. But more importantly, that I knew that I earned my respect and I earned my honour. So I was ready to go after that. But it took a lot of effort to get to, a lot of soul searching and working within to get your technique right, and your mental right, and physically to be ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. And it became one of your prominent innings of your career. Just tell us something about your childhood, how you came into cricket, and then you obviously went on into commentary and then now coaching. How it all started?
Well, my dad was a footballer. Most of the guys in Victoria would prefer to play Australian rules football than play cricket. Cricket's our fourth sport probably in Australia. Number one is fishing, believe it or not. Fishing is our number one sport. But AFL 2 and soccer probably 3, and we're 4th. But the big thing about it was my dad was captain and coach of a team called Carlton Cricket Club. And to play for your state, you had to play within this league. And my dad was captain coach for 20 years. So as a boy, 4 or 5-year-old, I would go to the games and watch him play and pick up all the guys' bats and hit the ball around inside the dressing rooms and all that type of stuff. And I sort of just watched the go. But I preferred to play football first than play cricket. And it just got to a stage where, you know, I preferred to play footy than cricket, but I happened to be better at cricket. And I never wanted to play for Australia. I never wanted to play for Victoria. It just sort of happened. And once I touched it, felt it, and understood how good it was, then, yeah, I was really happy to play it. But Shane Warne would prefer to play AFL football. You go ask him. That was our big thing as kids. We idolised footballers and we just watched cricket. Go, oh, there's cricket on. But that's, whereas in Pakistan, cricket's the number one sport by miles.
Exactly.
So everybody wants to be a cricketer, but it wasn't my big thing. Yeah, I like playing cricket, but footy was the best thing. But that's the way it worked.
What was your dad's reaction when you just opted for cricket instead of football?
Well, he always said that I was better at cricket than I was at football. But I think it's really, we got a huge problem in cricket in Australia. So we have AFL and they have a draft. 375 kids, 18-year-olds, are on this draft. Now, they all want to play cricket. They're our best talented athletes and they don't want to play cricket. So we're not getting the best of the best. Imagine if there was no AFL football, how good some of the kids that we could have coming through. So it really rips us apart. But Dad said, you'll find your way, and cricket found me more than I found cricket.
Okay, so just in the last, just tell me your worst and your bestest memory from the cricket field. Any inning or any incident you can share.
Worst, I'll go with worst first up. I think it was the 88 tour for me, Pakistan. I got 5 LBWs out of 6 innings, and honestly, 2 of them would have been out, but the other 3 weren't, not even close. But, you know, I went home, my dad's a very honest man, and we thought we got butchered with LBWs, and we didn't play that well either in Pakistan, and Imran and Javed Bhai and all that were just killing us. And the spin of Kazil Iqbal and Tausif and these guys were killing us. They just smashed us. So, and it was a lesson learned because the following year we came back, of course, to win a World Cup. But the fact was that I got hit on the pads a lot. And my dad said, I don't care if they were out or not out. Why were you getting hit in the pads in the first place? So it's a good question. Why did the ball hit me in the pads in the first place? You should have been hitting the ball, not with your pads. So then I started to practice without using pads and nets, and it actually helped me. So I needed to have a rough spot there to improve me. So that was probably, and we didn't play well in Pakistan. We didn't enjoy the tour. It was just a tough job. And not like we do now. At the best, without doubt, winning the World Cup. World Cups are unbelievably difficult to win. Championships and PSL are difficult to win. You need to have some luck. You need to have a plan. You need to have discipline. I'm fortunate enough to play in the first ever World Cup. To beat you guys, Pakistan, in Pakistan, the semi-final, was massive. Massive. We hopped off the ground. We were worried about the crowd because the crowd was really upset, putting that mildly. And we were worried about our safety. And all of a sudden, our manager said, listen, we've got a chartered plane to go straight to Kolkata now. Can you pack your bags? And we're leaving in 2 minutes. Just pack your bags. I don't care you're wearing your whites. We're going on the plane now. So We literally, I've got this photo, I haven't got it here, it's at the back, of David Boone, Steve Wall, and Alan Border and myself, all sitting in PIA plane.
Yeah.
We've still got our spikes on.
Okay. So
we walked through the airport,
yeah,
and we still had our spikes on from the game. And then we went on to win the World Cup now, and to win the Ashes as well is great. But I play cricket to win. I don't play cricket for milestones, whether you made hundreds or. I'm not worried about whether you're the best batsman in the world or you're the best bowler in the world. I just want you to be remembered as a World Cup champion.
You coach the team also to win only. That's his, this time in Karachi Kings player. My question related to 1987 World Cup. You beat India and Pakistan, who were considered as the favorites to win the tournament. How was that planning of the Australian team beating both the home sides?
Well, it's the first time we ever used analytics. I don't know where he got it from, but Bob Simpson, our coach, said the team who makes the most singles wins. Yeah. Sure, we'll hit boundaries, but we need more running, and the best fielding team will win. Now, he didn't give me any stats for that, but we practiced and trained like you wouldn't believe. I know the kids of today, the players of today are outstanding. And yes, they keep telling us we hit the ball further and all that. But the fact remains that they didn't field as good as us. We had an amazing fielding team. And we would train, I'm no kidding, I'm no exaggeration, nearly up to 3 hours for fielding, just fielding before matches. And we prided ourselves on it, that we could defend. Steve Waugh and Simon O'Donnell started to bowl the change-up deliveries at the back of the hand. We started to do that. No one else started to bowl that stuff. Well, the reverse swing was around, sure, but not the change-up stuff. And we worked hard on running between the wickets. And that's basically how we did it. And the 1986 tour to India the previous year was very, very important because it showed us that we can do well in India. And the first game of all, the first game we played in was in Chennai, where we just had the previous tie. And I'll just quickly go through this. I was facing Ravi Shastri. No, Maninder Singh, left arm spinner. And I hit him down the ground for 6. I thought it was a 6. And Ravi Shastri dived over the ball and it went for 6. You can clearly see that. And Dickie Bird said, it's 4. I said, no, it wasn't Dickie. It was 6. Ask Ravi. And Ravi says, do you know it was 4? I said, no, you're cheating, so-and-so. It was 6. Yeah. So I was really upset. For some reason, I was on top. Anyway, I got out a couple of overs later and I walked off the ground. And who did I run into? It was the match referee, Hanif Muhammad. Yeah. And I said to Hanif Muhammad, the great man, I said, listen, sir, that was 6. He says, we'll talk to Dickie Bird at the end of the innings. So we talked to Dickie Bird at the end of the innings. And Dickie says, come with me. We walked into the Indian dressing room. We said, Ravi, we're going to check with the OB van if it was 6 or 4. What do you want to do? And he says, I'll let him have it, Dickie. It's no problem. So they changed the score from 269 to 271 at halftime. We won by 1 run. Yeah. One run. We just beat India in a one-day match in a World Cup. We've never done that before. On the previous tour, they beat us 5-0. And then we started to realise what we're doing is right. And then we just were disciplined, fielded well, good change-up deliveries, and we ran Booney, myself, and Marsh and Mike Valletta and Steve Waugh and Alan Border. We just batted really well, and we kept putting good totals on, and we ended up winning the World Cup. And we were ranked the worst team in the competition to win the World Cup because we lost 5 games in a row. Yeah. 5 games in a row we lost before the World Cup, coming into that World Cup.
Yeah. Do you know why you just focused more on white ball cricket rather than Test cricket? Because your stats are quite decent in ODI cricket, and you are known as one of the aggressive batsmen in ODI cricket. Mm.
Well, if you ask me if you could swap 164 one-day matches, 163, I like to keep the World Cup final. If I could change 163 one-day matches for one more test match, I would have. I always loved test cricket more than ODIs. But today, the players seem to have more fun playing T20 than they are in ODIs, than they are in playing test cricket.
Exactly.
It's just the way it is. But I love test cricket. You know, winning the Ashes in England in '89 for the first team in 50 years, first Australian team to do that in 50 years, was a huge feat, huge part of my life. And then to beat them back at home. But all in all, it was, I love, if you got any weakness, test cricket's going to find it out. But I have to say now, it's probably, one-day cricket's probably the hardest form of game to play now. If you've got a weakness in your game, one-day cricket's going to find it, more so than test.
Okay.
For example, you've got to be able to hit big. You're running between the wickets. If you can't field or throw a ball 65, 70 metres, you're going to get found out. If you can't bowl a Yorker at the death, you're going to be found out. If you can't catch a ball under pressure in front of 80,000 people, you're going to get found out.
Very true.
So one-day cricket, I think at times is very, very difficult to play.
Okay. Coming on to lighter side, you spend a lot of time in Pakistan. Have you learned Urdu? Can you just share some words or lines you have learned?
Tora, ek do tin char panch chhe sat aat no das. I only know the swear words now. Wasm and Wakar and a few of the boys taught me some of the swear words.
Yeah.
But once the boys get together and start talking in Urdu, I know a little bit what they're going on about, and they make out that I don't know what's going on, but I do. So
exactly.
I understand a little bit what's going on.
Just don't pretend that you are just understanding what they are saying, but yes, you are.
Yeah, but I know what's going on. Yeah.
Any food you want to discuss, like biryani? Pakistan is so famous about food. So any particular dishes you like the most here in?
I was very fortunate enough, I think it was 2003 when India toured Pakistan, 2003.
Yeah, last
time. Famous tour. I still remember in Peshawar, I think we stayed at the PC, I think it was. And they cooked this chicken and meat upstairs on the coals. And I still remember it to this day. I don't think I've ever tasted food as good as that in my life. It was magnificent. And I like my food because I'm trying to lose a few pounds as we speak, but in isolation I've been able to, I walk 10 kilometres a day. Yeah, but it's a wonderful place now. You got great seafood down at Karachi. I love the seafood down there, the crabs and seafood, and go further north, the meats and the different flavours of curry and vegetable. It's stunning. It really is. You guys don't know how lucky you are. The food now is just brilliant. See, in Australia, the men like to cook the food.
Okay.
You know, I'm sort of in my kitchen area like now as I speak, and I've just cooked dinner tonight, and we love cooking. We go outside and have barbecues and prepare our food and all that type of stuff. I know the Indians and the Pakistani guys don't really like to cook their own food, but in Australia, we like actually cooking.
We like cooking food. Here, men also cook food. Next thing related to Australian cricket. Australia is so famous for sledging, which is so famous in Australian cricket team. Recently, a statement came from Michael Clark regarding Australian players not sledging Indian players due to the fear of losing IPL contracts. Do you want to? What is your say on this statement?
I don't know whether he said it or not. I'm not going to get involved too much in the byplay, but you know what? The boys don't say too much at all now because it gets picked up on the microphones.
Yeah.
The stump microphones are there, and it was there when I was playing. Like I know I'm a little bit old now, but we had stump microphones there, and if you said something naughty, it would get picked up. Yeah, there's a little bit here, a little bit there, but I went and played club cricket to help out a 5th 11 team 2 years ago here, my local team at Romsey, where I live, to help out some kids. I've never experienced sledging like it in my life. It was horrendous. It was bloody awful. And at the end of the game, I actually got the mums and dads, because some of them were kids, 16, 17, 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I got them in the dressing room and I gave them a lashing. I said, do you think that we're like this when we play for Australia? You've got another thing coming. And they honestly thought we swore like that.
Yeah.
But we didn't. Because you can't say that because you get picked up on the microphones, etc. Yeah, there's a little bit of aggression. Television loves aggression. We want rivalry. Yeah, and we need to have a bit of a balance with it. You know, Tim Payne's doing it now with a bit of byplay and a little bit of talk at the end of it, with the wicketkeeper saying a few things. But yeah, maybe a little bit at times I got a bit spiteful here and there. And I've copped it from Wasm and Wackar. Don't worry about that. I've copped it from Jarvid chipping away at first. I know exactly what the guys were saying. But at the end of the game, you just got to look them back in the face and say, well done, you beat us, or bad luck, buddy, we got you again. So it was part and parcel. But I don't know what Clarkey was going on about, but I have to say that I think everyone who's playing cricket in the world today is very, very mindful of India and hoping for them to get, unfortunately, Pakistani boys can't do it, but for whatever reason. But they obviously getting an IPL contract. You know, sometimes it's half their wage, or it's three quarters of their wage for this year. You know, it's a very, very important part of their life. So, but to say is that, you know, I didn't cop it that much sledging. And if they did, they cop it back from me. But we had some guys like when Viv Richards played, when wasn't bowled to you, or you don't say a word. You zip up, because the more you chat to them, the better they get.
Yeah.
So you're better off in just say nothing. See, it brings me to another point. With the PSL, with my players, I keep seeing the guys during a game, we're going out to do warm-ups, and there's some of the boys hugging opposition players. I've gone, hey, not now. Don't do it too friendly. We're too friendly. And this is my hardship line. I said, these guys, I had to call the boys in. This opposition team that you're playing, these guys are trying to ruin your career today. And you're giving them a hug before the match starts, or shaking their hands. And shake their hands at the hotel or at the end of the game. But not now. You can't get too friendly.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's all very well, be polite, good morning, good afternoon, whatever. Play the game, play it hard, play it tough. Shake and hug your mates after it. But I hate seeing it in PSL where guys getting together and they're having to talk opposition teams. It doesn't look good. And number two, I'm not having it as a coach. Here you are. You be prepared. Get out there and smash them, or they're going to ruin your career and stop you having a PSL career after this. So that's where I think the Pakistani boys need to get a little bit harder. It's all very well to be friends, but when you put your colours on or your whites and you're going out to prepare, don't speak to the opposition. You got after the game to do that, not during the game.
A very good point, Dino. You take a lot of interest in Pakistan cricket. Recently, you applied for head coach's role of the national team. What was that experience? Because we have heard that you didn't like the process, or Miss Bowler got all three positions. What was that?
Well, I applied and they didn't want me. So that was simple as that. I didn't think it was done right. I still don't. If you get down to your last 3 or 4 candidates, you should be flying those guys in and doing a proper interview. The interviews were done like this, like we are speaking now. Half the time the internet didn't work, cut out. They didn't know what I was saying. I didn't hear what they were saying.
Okay.
I thought the decision was already made before we got there.
Okay.
But I'll never apply again. It'll never happen again.
Okay. I want to ask about street cricket, which is so famous in Pakistan, and you have been here for in last 4 years. You have been in Pakistan. What is your experience and say on the street cricket, which is very much played in Pakistan?
Well, you guys are the talent factory. I don't know where you get them. You get these kids, these fast bowlers and these batsmen who can just whack it to all parts and who are unbelievably brilliant. You know, like you get a guy like Shoaib Akhtar comes out and bowls 100 mile an hour. These two young kids that are coming out now are doing really well. And then you have a stylish player like Babar Azam. It just looks like, oh, that's perfection. You can't change that. As a coach, I look at him, I'm thinking, what am I going to say to him? I can't say anything to him because he's playing beautifully. So just shut up and let him do his thing. You need a cup of tea? Yes, that's it. There are a couple of things where he needs a bit of improvement, I think, at T20, but we're working on that. I just love the talent, and I love the fact that they're uncoached and they're unhinged, and they just, and there's a passion for it, and they love, and they're quite happy to go about doing it. And seeing kids, just net bowlers, excuse me, net bowlers come up to us and see some of the kids, the net bowlers, and go, why have we picked him? Well, why is he so good? And Wasm said the kids are everywhere. The brilliant kids are everywhere. So, and you know what? It happened. What really hit me the most was PSL 1 draft. It was in Lahore at the indoor academy. And as I walked in, there was at least 100 odd kids with their mums and dads there, hoping to get picked.
Yeah.
They're sitting at the back of the stand. So we picked our team. Islamabad picked their team. And everyone's happy, and all the owners and everyone, the mentors, all rush off. And I'm sitting there, just got my pen out, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got our power hitter, and I'm happy with this. And I was the last one sitting, still with all the franchises all gone from the table. And I look back, and what really inspired me and upset me a little as well is there were kids sitting in the stands or behind us crying because they didn't get picked. You know, they weren't picked in the PSL, and they're hoping to get picked. And it really knocked me. And I watched them. You know, it's a big thing in their life for some of these kids to get this opportunity. And then, of course, we all know what happens. You do well in PSL, you get picked for the Pakistan team pretty much from. So it's a nice stepping stone pathway for young kids to come through. You've got talent there. It's just a matter of how you harness it and how you nurture it and manage it. And as Imran's shown before, you can win World Cups from it, but you just got to have the right leadership and management around you.
Okay, do you know what impact tennis ball cricket make on players? Like Pakistani players used to play tennis ball cricket more than hardball initially. So what impact this tennis ball cricket creates?
Oh, look, it's great. I see it not just in Pakistan. I see it in India, Bangladesh. I see it everywhere. Sri Lanka. It's a different form of the game. Interestingly, there are some parts in Pakistan and in India think the cricket's always played at one end. In the test matches, because they don't know that we change ends. They all think we still play from the same end as they do with their tennis ball, because the director changes the angles and all that type of stuff. But look, how else are they supposed to play the cricket? You've got 25 million people in Karachi. Where are you going to play the game? Well,
on roads.
That's how they learn the game. I learned going to my mate's backyard, and he cut a little strip in his backyard, real small area, and we played there. My place was actually bowled in the driveway in the garage. Had a garage. And each of the kids in the street had their own little grounds. So you have to adapt. Got concrete to playing on an awful backyard that's up and down, and these are the things you do as a kid. It's just love and passion, and you try and play like your idols that you loved watching play. How many kids try to bowl like Wasm and Wakar and of course the reverse swing? They've learned how to do that and how to hit the ball like Inzamam and that. It's just great.
Okay, Dino, I have some names for you relating to sports like cricketers and some other personalities. I will call a name and you have to just say whatever you have in your mind related to that personality particularly. First name, Sarfraz Ahmed.
A talent.
A talent. Do you think your opinion on Sarfraz fitness and Do you want him to make a comeback in the national team once again?
Oh, look, it's in his hand. He had a poor PSL. He had a good PSL the year before, didn't he? So wherever he goes, he tends to agitate and rock the boat a bit. So is he the problem or is he the solution?
Okay. Next name, your former...
He's a talent, though. He's a talent.
He's a talent, okay. Your former counterpart, Imran Khan, the current Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Like a freak, great leader of men, honest, can bowl, could bat, and turned his game into being a great batsman then, of course, didn't he? So anything I've had to do with Imran has been outstanding. A magnificent cricketer.
So what will be your say? Imran Khan as a cricketer or Imran Khan as a Prime Minister?
Well, I hope he becomes a better Prime Minister because he was a great cricketer. And the famous words was, finally, I've won the cup.
Okay, that's great. Next name, Babar Azam.
Freak. You know, I do a lot of cricket commentary around the world. I think his white ball, 50 over and Test cricket is like outstanding. Like he gets the old guys, like the Ian Chappells and that, and blokes like me. We just move forward to the seat a little bit, just to go like this to see what he's up to, like that. Whoever else is batting, we go like that. But when he's in, it's something we know we're in for something special. I think he understands that he's been blessed with talent. He's starting to learn how to use it and how to manage it. I think he's got some improvements, the little things to do in T20 cricket will improve. That needs to be done. The captaincy thing is not quite a concern for me, but who does he lean on, you know? See, you know, he's got you can't compare him to Sachin yet, but Sachin had guys to lean on, like a Ravi Shastri or a Sunny Gavaskar or these guys. Who does Baba lean on? Who's his person that he can lean on? And he needs someone like that to help, because I don't think you can do it all by yourself. And I just hope he's got the right personality, the right persons around that can help him. But he is something special.
Yeah, exactly. Next name, Karachi Kings owner, Mr. Salman Iqbal.
Who?
Mr. Salman Iqbal, Kings owner.
Well, I've known him for a little while, but I tell you what, he's generous. His love for the game, his knowledge of the game is outstanding. And I tell you what, he's not pig-headed or in any way, shape or form. He wants to learn from the game. Why did you do this? Because this is the reason why. And we felt that he needed to do this, and that's why we needed to bowl him. Really good thinking. That's fantastic. So, look, I love his passion for the game and his passion for Pakistan. Like, you know, he wants them to become World Cup champions. He wants Pakistan to thrive in the economy, and he's always trying to help Imran as well as a leader. I've just loved his company. He's been fantastic, and I hope it happens for many more years to come. I've made a really good mate. It's very important in our vernacular and our culture to have a mate.
Okay.
He's my mate. He's my mate.
That's so kind of you. The next name, Sharjit Khan.
Well, I still think you're not going to win a World Cup without him. Yeah, he did turn up that fit. He's been on his backside for a while, and he wasn't allowed to train anywhere, to be honest. And that's the law. What actually happened. Well, he's not going to be built like Wassim Akram, and he's not going to be built like Asif Iqbal. He's just going to be a rock solid big unit. He always has been, and yes, I've got vision of him the last 2 weeks of him working every day, push-ups and run-ups. He's getting himself super fit. But here's the point. Who would be the number one player in the world, would you say, right now? If you had to have one player in your team right now, you can pick anyone from in the world, who would you have in your team?
Okay.
Who would you have? What player? For me, Andre Russell. I would have Andre Russell in my team every day. Now, he's not like an Amazonian or anything like that. He's carrying a little bit of weight, but he hits the ball 90 metres, 95, 100 metres.
Very
Now, Shazil is not going to ever be super fit, but I'll tell you what he does do. He can flip Dale Steyn and hit him for 2 sixes over a backward square leg and frighten the living daylights out of him.
very
He frightens bowlers. You need that in your top four. You need that as an opener. And it actually works well for Baba, who goes around and does his own little thing. He is such a powerful player that if he comes off, I'm telling you, I've experienced it. He hasn't played any decent cricket for 3 years. I think he did a wonderful job. What did he score? Nearly 200 runs. He did okay for us. He did really, really well. And now, once he, with more work, etc., work on his body, lose 4 or 5 Ks, he'll be fine. But you don't want to have marathon runners playing cricket. You don't. You need to get guys as fit as you can get them within reason, but they need power. All the power hitters in the world are all got muscle, and they're not like having body fat of 8 or 9%. It's ridiculous. He's never going to be there, and it's never going to happen.
Okay, great. Anything about Karachi Kings?
Well, I've got lots of guys in the team that I really enjoyed within the team. I don't like outing any particular player. I like Mohamed Amir. I think he's different. He talks a lot. He talks a real lot. He talks a hell of a lot. And I'm trying to change his game plan to be more attacking, believe it or not. I want him to get wickets. Get the guy out. And then we can fix the problem at the end. Sorry?
Karachi Kings as a unit.
Yeah. Well, as a unit, I really enjoyed the fans. When the boys play a game and we get a win and we see at the roundabout, the traffic and all the guys that are in the letting rockets off and all that, we actually really enjoyed that. The feedback that we got from all the fans and that they're happy. Look, we're hoping to obviously get a championship win. But I'm doing everything what it possibly humanly can to make sure we got into the finals, in the playoffs. That was our first thing. The second thing was try to get the second chance. And hopefully the third thing, if we do get the playoffs, the top 2 teams must have a second chance. Not 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. No, that's not happening. We started the tournament out by having 4 playoff games. The loser of the qualifier plays the winner of the eliminator. That's got to happen. We must stick to it if we play later on in the year. But I'm proud to wear blue. I'm proud to wear this. I'll wear this at home. I think it's a great jumper to wear at home. But I really enjoyed my time at Karachi. I really enjoyed my time.
Karachi Kings. Okay. Last PSL. Something about PSL. Anything?
Well, it's there. I still think it's the second best league in the world, without doubt. You ask the England boys. They come over and they got sorted out by some of your Pakistani bowlers in a hurry. Alex Hale says, look, it's just the hardest place to make runs. You have to be very careful you have great spinners and great quicks. And I was just so happy that Pakistan opened it up. It's made Pakistan so safe, the way we got looked after by the security. And now there's no reason, hopefully when COVID goes by the end of the year, whatever, there is no reason why, with the same security that overseas teams now can come to Pakistan and start playing in this wonderful country. We've shown that we can do it. The Pakistan security, police and army have shown that they can do it really well. And it's a damn bloody good country to come and play and have some fun. We really enjoy it. It's good fun.
And Dino, last but not the least, what is your, if I ask you to make your world 11, what would it be?
World 11?
Yeah.
For what? Test cricket or
Make it
T20
for
cricket?
make it for Test cricket.
It'll take me too long. I wish you told me before. Might have had a one in there, but
Just random players you would include in that World 11.
Bubba will be in there, that's for sure. The bowlers probably be like Cummins and maybe, don't know. I'll have to sit and think to work out what it is. I tell you what, cricket's good to watch at the moment, isn't it? There's some really good stars going around, very, very watchable. You know, you got the power and you got the grace of Bubba Azam that's playing in Kohli, Kane Williamson and Joe Root. They're just great to watch. I really enjoy watching Andre Russell play T20 cricket. Like, he is scary. The fans do not understand how hard he hits the ball. By God, he hits it hard. You know, and he's been brilliant. The unorthodox of Steve Smith is weird. You can't teach kids to hold the bat like that and do all this stuff and do all that and walk around and carry on. He's different to watch. There's a lot of great stuff out there, great players out there that we're really, really enjoying. So I just hope we get some sport and start talking about cricket again, because at the moment I'm fed up on watching guys play cards and playing stupid other stuff and watching old replays when Wasm and Wacker and Imran and I were playing. We're over that stuff. We want to see the stars play today.
Do you know what is your opinion on cricket behind closed doors without fans?
Well, I like all the leagues that are happening around the world. Now, I'm on the board of European T20 League and also the Canadian League. But I think the players got to be mindful now that the financial model of the game now needs to be looked at. I don't think they can be asking for these huge amounts of money, the players, and then franchises have to pay big exorbitant fees to be able to pay for these players as well. It just, economically, it just doesn't work. So everyone just has to pull themselves back a little bit as well. But, you know, these guys now that play cricket, I think it's the best standard of cricket we've ever seen in the world right now. They're better players than what we were when I was playing. They'll say, "I'll come off it, Dino," but they are. They hit the ball miles. You know, it can be improving their fielding. They've got bowlers, and they're just great athletes of today. They really are. I just really love watching them play. Sure, there'll be a few guys in the past like Viv Richards and Wasm and etc. that would do very well today. Would kill them, but at the same time, I think overall there's a lot more better players going around now than there was in my day when we were playing. So I think it's very watchable. I think television production does it very well. We need rivalries. We need India to play Pakistan. There's no doubt about that. I've been there, done that. As a commentator, it was just a massive, huge privilege to watch that. But all in all, the game's in a good spot, but I'm just worried about paying the players too much. I really am. It costs a lot of money to run the game at the moment. We've just got to get the money back into grassroots cricket. We need more grounds in Karachi. We need more grounds to play in the suburbs for kids to play. We don't want to play. I like them playing tennis ball cricket. It's great, but from my place to the airport, which is 20 kilometres away, I'll show you 15 cricket grounds and football grounds that are there. I don't see that in Karachi. We need to have more sporting facilities for your kids to play. So where else are your champions going to come from?
Very good advice. Thank you so much, Dino. I took a lot of time of yours. Thank you so much. Last advice for your fans, for Karachi Kings fans who are waiting desperately that sometime later this year, PSL 5 knockout stage resumes. Any message or advice for the fans?
Well, just hang tough. Hang tough. It's going to come. Is a wonderful piece of advice my dad gave me. He said, if you want to have freedom, you need to have discipline. And to have discipline at the moment, you've got to stay inside. You've got to wash your hands. You can't go out and meet other people and play cricket and all that, socialise. If we don't beat this virus, we're going to be it's going to take longer and longer before cricket starts. So the quicker you do the discipline and do all the hard stuff early, then you'll get your freedom later on in the year. So hang tight, and inshallah we'll be playing in the PSL finals in December, and inshallah Karachi will be the champions.
Inshallah, we are looking forward to see you once again in Pakistan. Thank you so much, Dino, for your time. Best of luck. Take care. Goodbye.
Pleasure. See you, bro. Thank you.
जी बिल्कुल, डीन जोन्स को आपने सुना। बहुत सारे प्लान्स हैं उनके कराची किंग्स के लिए भी, और वो चाहते हैं कि कराची PSL 5 जो है वो उसका नॉकआउट स्टेज हो और कराची किंग्स जीते। तो ये था ARY स्पोर्ट्स गपशप का पहला एपिसोड। यकीनन आपको पसंद आया होगा। इस इंटरव्यू को शेयर ज़रूर कीजिएगा और कमेंट ज़रूर कीजिएगा, ताकि हमें पता लग सके कि आज का हमारा एपिसोड और डीन जोन्स की एडवाइसेस और मैसेजेस फैंस को आपको किस तरह लगे। ARY स्पोर्ट्स के फेसबुक और ट्विटर पेज को फॉलो करना मत भूलिएगा और विजिट कीजिए हमारी वेबसाइट www.arysports.tv। अपना बहुत सारा ख्याल रखिएगा। हम एक बार फिर हाजिर होंगे अपने नए गेस्ट के साथ। अपना ख्याल रखिए। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।